This is episode number 27 of the Riff Tacos podcast. My name is Paul Misko, and today's guest I met way back in 2007 while on tour with From a Second Story Window. At the time, he was playing bass in Dead to Fall, and then the following year, both our bands broke up. Both of us broke up in 2008, and then both of us ended up moving to LA, I think around the same time. Although we didn't really hang out much, I ran into him once or twice. I think we just kind of ran with like different crowds, but he moved out there to become an adult film star. And this year he won an award for Best Actor at the 2025 AVN Awards, which, if you're not familiar, that's like the most prestigious award you can win in the adult entertainment industry. It's like winning an Oscar for porn, which is just fucking awesome. So congrats to him on that. He's also an author. He's currently in multiple bands, a man of many talents, to say the least. So we're going to have so much to talk about today. This is Riff Tacos with Chad Fjerstad. So thank you very much for doing this, dude.
Well, thanks for having me, man. I just thought it might be fun, so thought I would reach out, and I'm glad that you took to it.
No, you were actually already on my list because, as you probably assumed, I made a long list of like people I knew from bands we were friends with. Because at first you're like, no one's gonna want to do this. This is my dumb podcast. So you're like, who would say yes at first?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I saw. Were you starting your own show? I saw on your Instagram.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like I wasn't thinking about it as much as like a podcast. I just wanted to do like an occasional video interview series for YouTube more so.
Yeah.
Kind of like really like lo-fi on purpose, sloppy, goofy type of thing. But yeah, it's not too different. So pretty much.
And it's coming out soon. Your first episode.
Yeah, this weekend.
What was it called again? Titular?
It's called Titular because that's kind of the simple theme is we go through a band's album and we just dive into the song titles and like why the song titles are what they are. So
okay. Yeah. That's sick. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it, dude.
Thanks, man.
First off, I wanted to say congrats on your AVN award. Like, that's fucking cool as shit.
Thank you. That was very unexpected after 16 years in the industry and hadn't really received any of those sorts of accolades. So to have it happen this year, my 16th year, it was just kind of a shocker in a good way. You know what I mean? A real pleasant surprise.
Right. And I know that like that kind of feeds into your book and everything, which we can get into. But I wanted to ask about that first, like, because you do move to LA about the same time I did. It was like 08 or 09.
Yeah, 09 actually, exactly. So summer of 09.
Yeah, because we both our bands broke up in 2008.
Ah, that's right.
Yeah, I realized that when John was on here.
Damn,
we had the same ending.
We've been on the same trajectory, the same timeline.
Yeah, and I barely saw you out there, which was funny.
That's true. I remember running into you once, which was really cool, and kind of connecting then and realizing you were out there. But then I don't think I ever saw you again after that.
Yeah, I think like I think part of me moving out there, I was trying to like distance myself from the music world and people like that. So I like kind of was hanging out with complete opposite crowd, like club promoters and actors and all that. And I think I was kind of in pain of like missing the band and wishing it had gone differently. So I didn't really like seek out that crowd that was like us, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you want to try something different after spending years on that. And I mean, I had kind of a similar experience when I first moved out here. My first 2 years, I took a break from music in general. And by the end of those 2 years, I realized that I can't take a break from music.
Yeah, same thing happened to me. You try, but it pulls you back for sure.
Yeah, because part of you just feels like it's missing, right?
Yeah, you just like, if you're not being creative, at least in some way, like you just have this big empty hole in your chest and
a void.
Yeah, the void.
Yeah.
The deep, dark void.
That's right.
Did you move out there to do adult films? Was that your plan or?
Primarily, yes. I mean, I'd say like once I started touring the country, I like very quickly realized that for one, I really loved my home state, Minnesota, more than I ever knew. But then I knew if I ever was going to move, Southern California was the only other place I really, really wanted to be. But the real incentive was to follow my dream and try to get into the porn industry. Yeah.
Well, so what made you want to do that? Because that's a very interesting like choice and career path that most people probably, even if they wanted to do it, wouldn't have the balls to try it.
Um, I mean, I don't know. It was a very long-term thing for me. It was like, it's weird to talk about now, talking about being a teenager and wanting to get into porn. I mean, in one sense, it's like you might hear a teenage boy say that and you'd be like, okay, yeah, every teenage boy wants to get into porn because they're horny
Right.
little fuckers, But I don't know. I was always a lot more serious about it. I was paying more attention to like, what would the lifestyle be like? Are they, would I want to live my life with being surrounded by other people who are in this mindset in this realm? Like, and I was very drawn to all of it. And I started kind of feeling it out with local people, trying to see like how many other people in Minnesota in the Midwest have the same idea as me who are like serious about it. Like, yeah, I want to get into porn too. And I never met anyone else. So I was
Right.
like, okay. It's
How
like
did you try to find people?
I just mean at first I just mean just talking to your friends and talking to
Okay.
other guys in your age range and like kind of realizing like nobody else really means it. And then it kind of becomes process of elimination. Like, okay, well, there must be room for me in there then,
Right.
amongst other reasons. But that's the first thing I think of.
Yeah. So you moved to LA and then like how do you get started? Like who do you reach out? They're like agents, do you audition or
It's a very different path for everyone. I mean, for me, I like actually the first time I ever did a scene was when we were on tour in Dead to Fall. So in like
really?
in 2006, so I would have been 21. And we had a day off in like Long Beach, and this girl who had been friends with the band for a while, we crashed with her, and then we had a day off the next day. And I guess she told her roommate, who had just started doing porn, that I was a porn freak and that she should ask me if I want to do a scene with her or something. So, I mean, of course, I just said yes. I was like, okay, well, this is my first chance to like prove myself or whatever.
Right.
And this guy from this sort of lowbrow alt porn, they were calling it at the time, website for tattooed people and stuff. It was called Razor Dolls, and yeah, she told him this dude wants to shoot with me, and one dude came over the next day with a camera, and we just shot a scene, and that was the beginning. And I had to pick a stage name, and I picked a gnarly one that day. I wrote it on the paper. It was Vin Varicose.
Why do I know that?
I mean, when we toured together, well, it was what, 2007, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe, okay, so at that point I had already done one scene, so it's like,
Okay, that's why.
it would get brought up as a joke semi-frequently, Vin Varicose over here,
Yeah. That just triggered that memory. I haven't heard that in so long, but instantly I was like, I know that fucking name. And now you go by Chad Alva?
Yeah, basically, like when I actually moved to LA and started trying to do it full time, at first I was using the name Vin Varicose, and I very quickly started getting just a lot of weird vibes and comments from people on set. And I was like, okay, for one, not very many people understand the humor here, and for two, maybe I need to grow up and take this at least a little more seriously. So
Right. So where did Alva come from?
it's not very interesting. At that point I just wanted a name that didn't mean anything. I just wanted a name that was a name, like something
Yeah.
simple. And so I didn't like being called Vin on set. I was like, this doesn't feel right. I'm not a fucking Vin. So I was like, I'll keep the first name what it is, and then I'll just pick a random name for the last name. I was looking at a list of Norwegian surnames to pick from, and I did see it on there. I'm mostly Norwegian, so that's why I went with that. I know it's more commonly a Spanish name, Alva, Alvarez, stuff like that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so people think of that, like also like the skateboarder Tony Elva. He's kind of like the only popular Elva out there. I wasn't thinking that at all when I picked it. I just picked a random name, but I do have one funny story on that remark. About 10 years after I started using Alva as my stage name, I came to realize that in Norwegian slang, elva actually means elf, fairy, or homo.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah. Not what I was expecting or going for, but that's the truth. So,
Elf, fairy, or homo.
yeah.
So like, so you've been doing this for that long. Is this like a full-time gig, a part-time gig? Like, how often do you shoot?
Oh, it's very full time. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's like on average, I guess 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had no idea if it was like something you do like once a month or
Yeah, I mean the in the beginning it was a lot less because you have to kind of get your foot in the door and prove yourself. So it was like, but once the ball really got rolling, so like I don't know, the last 10 years, it's pretty frequent. Yeah, 2 to 3 times a week.
that's awesome. So do you work with like an agency or something that like books you, or do you kind of choose who you work with, or how does that work?
I do have an agency. I always have since I moved to LA, so I've been through a few different ones. But I mean, generally, it's kind of if they find me a scene, then they get 10%. But I can also get work on my own. So
Okay.
so yeah. So if something comes to me direct, then I can also do that.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Um
it's nice.
so like are do you have a girlfriend that I saw on Facebook before?
I do.
Or you're in a relationship. So yeah, me and like I'm sure everyone else listening is like how does that go down with your relationship and how does that affect that?
Well, I'm very lucky to have a partner who deals with it.
Right.
Say that. Yeah, yeah, I'm just lucky to have her. She probably doesn't love it every time I go to work, but we have a system that, I mean, it works for us. We're just she's a musician as well, and just is very understanding of the elements of the lifestyle. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah, no, I got you. I just had to ask because I know like it's a very special like unique situation you'd have that kind of like trust and understanding. So that's really cool that you can do that.
Yeah,
I know
I
most people
feel
I would ask would probably be
blessed.
like would probably be like hell no. So yeah, going back to Dead to Fall, or we can kind of go back to the beginning, like what when you started in music was Nehemiah your first band?
Nehemiah was definitely my first band that my first real band, my first legit band. That's what I consider it. I mean, I tried a few things with friends before that, but it was like us just figuring it out, like how to do a band. But it never went anywhere. You know what I mean? But yeah, it started with Nehemiah. I think we formed in the year 2000. One of our two vocalists, Evan Nagan, was already kind of a popular boy in the local scene, I'd say. He was already like a mosh pit prince, and like everyone kind of loved him in the scene. So like when we started the band with him, it was kind of a bridge, a link where people were like, "Oh, Evan has a new band. Evan has a band." So right away from our very first show, it was just like the response was electric. We felt so much fucking love, and the chemistry between everything was just, it felt very, very magical. And I think it changed all of our lives immediately. Like from that first show, we were just like, whoa, like this is what we have to do. And for me, I mean, it changed my whole life as far as just playing music and being involved in music. I mean, because the experiences in that band was just like just blew the door open for me. It was like the most magical fucking time. And yeah.
Yeah, like that first time you experience like being on a stage with a crowd engaging with you, like you just get bit by that bug and you're like, oh, this is like possible. It's not just like the people I see on TV that can do this or, whatever. And you're like, I could do this too. So yeah,
Yeah.
it changed everything for me instantly and just opened up a world of like possibilities. And then like, as you get older, you go on tour and things like that. That also like it gives you this confidence of like, oh, I can travel and you see all these, meet all these people and see all these places, and it just kind of like it brought me out of my shell. So like, did that kind of happen for you too? Like when all the traveling and like kind of finding yourself and
Oh, 100%. I mean, up until that point, I was like, I mean, I was a really, really sort of awkward, shy, insecure person in like junior high, for example. And I had moved to a new town, so I was like a self-exploitive, like satirical, like make fun of yourself to make friends type of person, you know? Um, and I mean, we started that band when I was 15, but I mean, yeah, everything changed after that. My entire personality, I mean, I just became a confident person and kind of found vision and maybe a path with like, okay, like, I see what it means to like have an identity and like do something with your life and kind of like, and then want to do more in that regard, you know?
like feel like you belong somewhere for the first time too. That was
Yeah,
big.
that too.
That was big for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even though even with the popularity of Nehemiah though, I was still the guy in the band who got a lot of remarks from people in the scene like I don't mind saying it. Like I remember a lot of the only scene girls at the time, people would tell me little birdie in my ear like them making comments like, "Yeah, everyone really fits except for Chad." Like something like I don't know, man. He just doesn't look right up there. Something's off, you know?
Oh yeah, like that's great to hear. Thank you.
But I mean, I mean spiritually it makes sense. I've always been kind of like the weird guy in everything I've done, so it's like I don't blame them. Also, Nehemiah in the beginning, everyone was straight edge in the band except for me. So there's also that.
Also, like not fitting in or standing out is that's not like necessarily automatically a bad thing either. But when you're young, you could take it that way, I guess.
Right, right. But when younger people, I guess they don't notice, that that might be a not the best way to look at things, you know?
Right. And so you played bass for them too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you always on bass? Did you play a guitar or other instruments first, or?
No, I've never really been a guitarist. I mean, at first I just picked up bass because it seemed the easiest and I had no musical training. So, like, I literally learned how to be a musician by learning the Nehemiah songs that our guitarist Logan Kelly wrote. And that was my training to become a musician. I'm like, I'm starting with these songs. And if you think about it nowadays, like starting with melodic death metal or metalcore songs, it's a kind of a upper tier way to start with an instrument. It's like if you can play those, you can go backwards to a lot of other genres, and it's really easy after that.
Yeah, for sure. To start out playing something that's fast and technical, and you're like skipping the early lessons. Like I took probably a handful of lessons, and I was just like, I don't care. I just want to learn how to play corn. Like,
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, the same thing kind of happened with me and my first band, Robinson. We would write stuff that we couldn't play, and then you bring yourself to that. Like this is where you want to be, and that kind of helps you grow as a musician. So I like that. Like, and you kind of develop your own style too.
Yeah, I think especially if you're interested in technicality, I think that's what musicians are kind of always doing every time you write something new, right? You're like, it's like let's lay out a riff that's just a tiny step above my current skill level and push, right?
Yeah. So you were in that band until when? 2004, something like that.
'05. That was one of those bands where it was like, well, Logan Kelly, the songwriter, who was kind of, my main man in the band, he wanted to start touring more than the band could, so he moved to Milwaukee to start Coma Eternal with with members of End This Day and some other bands I can't remember at the moment, but yeah, then we had a different guy come in to take his place, and then that guy slowly started kicking out members one at a time,
Oh,
kicking out original members.
what the fuck?
So yeah. So like I wasn't a fan of that because the first person he kicked out was my best friend at the time, Josh Luderman, the other guitarist, and then I was next. And so that was January 2005. But looking back, I mean, the nice thing was once he once they decided they were going to remove me, my original drummer and one of the two vocalists were like, well, when Chad's done, we're done too. So then the last iteration of Nehemiah for the last 8 months was just one original member and then like a whole new lineup. But it only lasted for 8 months, so.
Hey friends, if you're enjoying the show, quick reminder to hit the subscribe button and like the episode on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, please follow the show and leave a quick rating. It really helps me out a lot. And if you know someone who'd enjoy it, please share the episode with them too. Thanks so much. All right, back to it. Well, shit. How do you join the band and then get the power to start kicking people out? I don't understand that.
I guess it kind of goes along with if you're the songwriter, if you're considered the greatest talent and you're the only one who can write the songs, then you kind of get some power there, And I don't know, I guess he was convincing enough to, convince the other members that it would make the band better,
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I haven't heard the name Coma Eternal in a long time. I think they did a tour with From a Second Story Window before I joined way back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
I remember
awesome.
seeing an old tour flyer. Yeah.
Oh.
So you ended up in Dead to Fall. Were you in any bands between that?
Not really. There was one that I was jamming with for a second with the old vocalist of Martyr AD. It was a pretty cool band. I don't know. I just felt like I wasn't the right guy for the job, so I just kind of just didn't end up doing that. But it would have been cool, or it could have been cool. But then, with Dead to Fall, I mean, that ended up happening through the same person. I mean, when I called Logan Kelly my dude from Nehemiah and Coma Eternal, after Coma Eternal broke up, he ended up becoming the lead songwriter in Dead to Fall. So then when they needed a new bassist, he hit me up, and I ended up, in a band with him again.
Oh, it didn't even put two and two together. It was the same Logan. Okay.
It is. So that was really nice. I don't know. I was just very excited when I got the AOL instant message about it.
Yeah. If that dates us, fucking buddy lists and shit.
There you go.
So what year was that you joined Dead to Fall?
That was also 2005. So the same year that Nehemiah ended. I believe my first shows and tours with Dead to Fall were July of 2005.
Okay. Yeah. So I might have met you. I guess it was 2007. I'm just trying to like put the timelines together of like when I joined Fastwell in 06. So I know we played.
It could have been 06.
Cause did we do a full tour, or was it just a short run? Like I don't remember doing like a long tour with you guys.
I don't think it was like a full month or anything, but I mean, especially like I don't have a lot of like deeper memories with you guys. If that makes sense. It's like I remember all of you guys being really cool, like really nice guys and fun guys, but I don't have any specific like, remember this night when we were all hanging out? You know what I mean?
I feel like I remember a show in Chicago with you, and you guys had was it the shark shirt for the first time? We were like, holy shit, that's the coolest shirt ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had a memory of like, I think you and I standing at a merch table talking about it. That's like my one memory, and I think we were in the Chicago area.
Oh, sick. Okay.
And then I know we played that fest at that skate park where like Black Dahlia Murder headlined.
Oh yeah,
it was super sweaty. I just talked about it on this podcast and I already forgot the name of the fest, but I remember you guys being there and we were all hanging out drinking in the back. We had like lawn chairs set up between all the vans and shit. That's just all we did, was just drink outside and grill.
Yeah, what the fuck else is there to do on tour, man?
Yeah, no shit.
Well, I know we did a really short run with Black Dahlia Murder. Were you guys also on that? It was like 5 shows.
That might have been before me. Because I never toured with Black Dahlia. We just played a couple like one-offs with them, I think.
Got it. But yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense that the tour we did together was probably like a week and a half or something like that.
Yeah. And we did run in. Sorry, go ahead.
And was the number 12 Looks Like You also on the tour, or am I just thinking of you guys because your band names kind of reminded me of each other for some reason?
We did do a full tour with them, so maybe you guys were on like a week of that with us or something.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Such a
Yeah.
blur, man.
It is a blur. Like trying to put all this together, and then like someone will send me a flyer in my Instagram, and I'll be like, "Oh fuck, I was completely wrong."
Oh yeah. I love seeing that shit too. Like at first you're like, "What? I don't remember the show at all." But then it
No.
starts to come back to you slowly, you know?
Yeah, and like looking at the list of dates where like back then it was just a grind. You just never were home. It was just like, oh, here's the next 3 months lined up, and you're going to be gone from May through July or August, and it's just like I don't remember being gone that long, but we were. It's just a complete blur of just venue driving, party, drinking, absolute blur.
That's all that's all it was back then. I mean, that's all I mean, I admittedly it's what my book is about, but I admittedly was just a fuck boy back then. You
Yeah.
know? It's just like all I cared about was like I loved the music. I loved playing music, but like when you're not on stage, just where's the bottle of Jack Daniels? Where's the hot girls? That's like that's all that was on my mind back then.
Yep. I was in a relationship, so I was good, but I did drink every fucking day for sure.
Yeah, it's that part even blows my mind. I mean, we were drinking so much whiskey every fucking night, and I don't think I had hangovers at all back then. I don't think they existed yet.
No, like I remember feeling like crap some days, but by like 11 a.m. I'm fine. I'm ready to go again. Like I couldn't do that now.
No, no, I need a full day off after a night of drinking like that every time now.
Oh yeah, at least two for me. Like this is my time. Like I'll drink when I like hang out with someone on the podcast. I'll have a beer or two, and like that's it. Instead of going out to the bar and getting hammered every weekend like we used to.
I get that, and I'm just chugging coffee all day, every day. That's my drug of choice now.
It is only 3:30 for you, so.
That's true. That's true. Where are you at now, by the way, in the world? Where do you live?
I'm in Ohio, back in
Oh,
our
okay.
hometown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sick. Fuck yeah.
I was living in Austin for the last 7 years, and then the band got back together, and my dad was getting old. He ended up passing away, but I kind of moved back here for him and the band, and I'm still with my same girlfriend. She's living in Texas, so we're just visiting back and forth. But yeah, I'm like 5 minutes from where I grew up. I'm 5 minutes from where we practice at Nick's mom's house, same place in the same basement from back in the day. So it's been really
Oh.
cool. Yeah.
I feel like it all started in like someone's mom's basement. That's definitely how Nehemiah started too. So
Yeah. From a second story window, they practiced somewhere in like Sharon, I think, before that. Like when my old drummer Jeremy was in the band first, but when Nick joined the band, he was the youngest, and like the dudes looked like a bunch of hooligans to his parents, obviously. So they're like, "You're going to be practicing here," just because they wanted him close, not so he was out doing God knows what
yeah,
with these weird guys. But
yeah, have to keep an eye on them, man. Who
So-
knows what's in the bong and how many bongs there are around? You know.
no shit. So what was your like writing process like in Dead to Fall, being back with your friend?
I mean, it wasn't too different from Nehemiah yet because Logan was always like multiple skill levels ahead of me. So it's like he would kind of be writing with the drummer. They'd be just like, writing technical mastery. And then we would just kind of sit down together. And I just admittedly, I would need his help to figure out what to play back then because those riffs were wild, especially, I mean, once we got to the Phoenix Throne and Logan was writing songs like Womb Portals and like, even all my heroes have failed me. It's like those songs are pretty fucking technical. So yeah, I definitely needed his assistance, and we would figure it out together, and then I would practice my ass off until I could actually play the songs, and that's it.
Did your bass parts kind of vary a lot from the guitar and like have your own bass lines?
I mean, like with a lot of metal, a lot of the riffs were just kind of slaving the guitar, we would call it, like either playing the same thing or like a slightly simplified riff, but like still in the same rhythmic pattern and having the same value. There'd be little parts here and there where we would try to let the bass do its own thing. And I mean, I did get to write some scattered parts here and there. When the riff was a little more like that, a little more leaning towards, okay, like walk with the bass, do something creative. But overall, it was like a lot of metal, a lot of just kind of like slaving the guitar. So
Yeah. I appreciate bass players a lot more now because I started like even when I was living in LA, I think I just because I was missing music, I started learning how to program drums and do my own demos just to do something. And then I got this shitty like $100 bass, and like I was always used to too, like the bass just kind of follows what the guitar did. And then when I'm trying to figure out bass lines, I also don't know anything. So I'm like, I don't know harmonies, I don't know scales. So I'm just figuring things out one fret at a time. But like it made me appreciate really good bass players who know how to do their own thing at the right moments and then when it's time to follow. So that's been fun. It's definitely helped me a lot.
absolutely, man. And I think that was kind of the fun thing, kind of coming out of just playing metal and like then having a whole world of discovery with the bass, being like, wow, like this could really speak like a lot of different languages in a lot of different genres. And coming out of metal, I think some of the main bassists that really kind of like carved a path for me to like kind of see what the bass can do would be like Caleb Schofield in Cave In, and
Sick bass parts.
yeah, Nick Oliveri on those first few Queens of the Stone Age albums. And even Carlos D on the first couple Interpol albums. Like when I first heard those albums, it was kind of the very beginning of sort of the hipster movement, and I hadn't heard anything like it at the time. So the bass work on those records really kind of like opened my eyes to some shit at the time, in like the mid 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see that. What's your like rig looking like these days? Or have you always been on a 4-string?
I mean, I had a couple 5-strings while I was playing in Nehemiah and Dead to Fall, but eventually I was like, why? I mean, for me, if I'm playing heavy shit, I prefer, like, I have a Warwick now that's set up for a lower tuning, so the 5-string doesn't necessarily serve a purpose for me. And I noticed while I was playing in Dead to Fall, it's like, okay, I can have a 5-string, I can have a slightly thicker string on the top, but then it's even harder to get through these songs. It's like, because I'm feeling finger fatigue even faster on the really hard ones.
Yeah.
So that made me want to stick with a 4-string,
I feel the same way with 7 strings, 8 strings. I wouldn't even know what to do with an 8-string. But like we've always played in low tunings too. I've spent most of my life playing in like drop A, but always on a 6-string. Other than my first guitar was like a 7, just because Korn had them. Like, but I didn't know. Like, I don't even know what to do with 6 still. So I don't need the extra one.
Well, I like hearing that you're as big of a new metal head as me back in the day.
Oh yeah, still am.
Yeah, I'll always stick up for it. So.
Yeah,
it was kind of fun here in LA. I did a few just new metal nights, like DJ nights at some bars, but like at the time, this was like probably like 2015, and I hadn't seen anyone else do it, I guess maybe ever yet at the time, but especially not in LA. And I just did a few. The first one was pretty electric, but then they were all kind of duds after that. But it's been fun since then, just seeing this huge new metal revival kind of explode everywhere,
Yeah.
And now I see new metal nights all over the place in LA too. But I think people were really ashamed and hateful of that genre for so long, so it's nice to see it get its flowers now,
Yeah, and back in the day, like 2005, 6, like it was really not cool in our scene to like new metal, and I always still loved it. But I did I had to keep it a secret back then. Now I'm like, fuck you, Limp Bizkit's the shit.
Especially that first album, man. $3 Bill, y'all.
Oh yeah,
fuck with that.
I've still never heard anything quite like it, honestly.
Same, absolutely.
But I think like every music cycle in any genre, if things go away and come back like that, it takes about 20 years. It seems to be about the sweet spot, and then it's cool again.
Yeah, And I feel like it moves even faster now since everything does. It's like now it'll only be about 10 years and you'll see the wave come back already. And it's like, all right, here's the revival. It's like, damn, did it ever even fucking go away?
Yeah, like I feel like the 2000s metalcore scene is already starting to come back, and people are sick of the overproduced metal stuff.
Oh, it entirely is right now. And I mean, on that note, I should just bring up that there's this new label that started up on the East Coast called Tarnished Records, and they're doing vinyl releases of sort of, I guess, rare. They're mostly starting with Midwest metalcore. Basically, their very first release was the oldest Nehemiah EP and demos, remastered and released on vinyl for the first time ever. And we were shocked they even wanted to do this. We were like, a year after we made this EP, we thought this was horrible. We thought this EP sucked ass, and that nobody would ever care about these songs again. Right. And now all of a sudden they want to put this on vinyl, and the whole pressing sold out in 8 hours. We're like, what the fuck is going on?
That's sick. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's mind blowing to us. We it's just surreal as fuck. So yeah, there does seem to be a Midwest metalcore revival happening right now with kids, with like 16 to 24-year-old kids who are really, really vibing on this shit right now. Yeah. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
The sound too, like, because the recordings weren't very good back then for a lot of bands, and like now people are purposely trying to emulate that and like appreciating it for like the rawness, and I'm like, that's fucking cool as shit, you know?
Which I totally understand, because for how many years have we been trying to create records that sound like they were made in the 70s?
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. It's the same kind of fucking thing.
Yeah, it's got that like nostalgic like raw sound of like, it's just you and a bunch of guys trying to make some bullshit in a basement, you know? And it's just something more real about that.
Yeah, and being limited to like certain organic, I don't know, recording devices or instruments, you know? And like that's all you have, and you end up with that specific sound, you know?
Yeah. I find myself like you're in Logic, right? I see you posting questions and problems with it that I've had before too. So,
I'm a Logic guy, definitely.
I just got it a couple of years ago. I was like, I think it's time to graduate from GarageBand, and then I did. And I'm like, it's not that. It looks the same, but there's a lot more functionality, obviously. But I'm like looking at plugins, and I have no idea what I'm doing. And there's just like an endless world of things you can download and try. And I think there's a downside to that, because you'll go down the rabbit hole forever. Like, and now I'll try to limit myself and be like, if I find an amp I like and it sounds good, I'm just fucking using it. All right, let's go. And then move on to the next thing, because I could spend weeks and weeks just looking at plugins.
That is, I mean, I agree 100%. And I've gotten very into synthesizers since I moved to LA. And I feel like that's the deadliest part about getting very into synthesizers is you get more into buying more synths and just having more and more gear, rather than being like, okay, this is the synth I have, I'm going to make a record now, or I'm going to make a song, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, the same goes for anything. I just think that's one of the most extreme forms. But I always try to stick to focusing on, writing a song or a record, because I don't want to get caught up in that. Number one, for financial reasons, because you're going to end up spending all your fucking money. But number two, you'll never get anything done.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, why do I need like my choice of 800 compressors and I can't even hear the difference anyway? I'm like, I feel like this is a producer,
especially with that.
Yeah. I'm like, I know I need a compressor, at least on certain instruments, but I can't hear a difference. So I'm just like, I'll just follow the set. I have like a cheat sheet I downloaded from somewhere that it's like guitar, bass, drums, everything broken down. It's like, start here. And I was like, okay. I'll do what you say, I guess.
And that's for mixing in general, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a whole other thing, too. It's like, that's why, like, as a musician, you have to decide, like, how into mixing are you going to get? Because that's a whole nother fucking wormhole, And it's like, sometimes I end up mixing and mastering my own shit, depending on the release. But, if it's something that I'm a little more serious about, I definitely feel like it's it's so much nicer to be like, okay, I'm gonna let a real fucking engineer,
Yeah.
you know, who's been spending their life focusing on this, do this. Of course,
Yeah.
please.
I've made that mistake in the past for sure when I'm like, I'm very proud of these songs, but I'm going to mix it myself. I'm going to figure this out. It's like, now is not the time to learn. Like you should have already done that. And you have this baby that you're in love with and you're just going to put it out. And then later you're going to go, shit, that sounds like ass.
Right. And also if you spend another 6 months getting better at engineering, it's like by the time you do put it out, maybe you don't feel like it's your baby anymore. Maybe you don't even care about it anymore.
Yeah, there's like a certain window where you're really, really into something. And then even just 6 months goes by, you're going to kind of like, I would change this about that song now. Then you start getting into a different headspace. And yeah, it's very,
Exactly.
very touchy
I feel
being an
fortunate.
artist.
Yeah, I feel fortunate to like not be one of those people as much, but I hear other people saying that so often that I know it's a very common thing. But for me, I tend to like when I make something, usually I tend to like kind of feel connected to it for, I don't know, maybe forever.
Yeah. I feel connected to it forever, but I'll lose that initial fire and spark that after so long to keep working on it. Like my initial like idea and vision of what it was. And then I'll kind of like, if it's taking me more than a few months to lay it down, then I'll have to take a break and come back. And hopefully I'll still feel the same or be able to get back in that same headspace when I do come back to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. The honeymoon phase ends. Your boner goes away.
I had a question I forgot to ask John that did you guys have a dude that you called your party manager that toured with you?
That seems like a John thing. I'm sure. I mean, we always had like a roadie friend with us on most tours, so I could see us telling people that they were our party manager for sure.
I had this, after I got off with him, I had this memory pop up of both our bands stopping at the same gas station, and whoever was with you was like this funny ass dude, and he was wearing like tight jeans and like cowboy boots or something, and he came out of the gas station like high stepping and strutting like funny as fuck with like a case of beer. And it was like, I think our first time connecting with you guys or something, and we were like, who is that dude? And one of you was like, oh, that's our party manager. So I don't know if it was like a joke someone just said that day, or like, dude, they have a party manager, we want one.
I'm pretty sure that was probably a John or I'm trying to think of who that would have been. My first guess is that it would be this dude from Chicago named Styx, who was an old friend of John's. Or it would have been this dude from Minneapolis named Aaron Birdsell. Yeah, I could see both them in cowboy boots and tight jeans and being a fucking wackadoo. And I don't know. That's a good memory, man. I'm glad you remember that.
Yeah, I just remember him being a total character, and I was talking to my girlfriend about that. She was like, who was the party manager? I was like, fuck, I forgot to ask him, because it's just hilarious to me.
We only took out characters, man.
You have to. Tour is not for the weak.
No. And yeah, two of our main roadies are like doing their own thing now. Like, actually, one of my favorite roadies of ours was a Minneapolis dude named Drew Ailes, and he has a really pretty popular punk band now called Citric Dummies that he's the front person of.
Nice.
And we just played with them a couple nights ago in San Clemente with my band Ass Life. That's like the only heavy band that I still play in. I'm playing the same Warwick I was playing in Dead to Fall, which is pretty cool. And man, they got things going pretty well. Like Jack White handpicked them to open for Jack White in Minneapolis. So that's a
no shit
crazy
Fuck
landing, at first stab. So yeah, check out Citric Dummies if you like egg punk, if you know what egg punk is.
I was gonna ask you because I was looking at all your Spotify for all your projects and stuff, and listening to Ass Life a little bit, and I was like, one, that is an amazing and hilarious name, but two, it said egg punk soul with the chain punk sound, and I was like, I don't know what that fucking means.
You want to know my perspective on it? It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, like some people consider Devo sort of like the godfathers of egg punk. It's kind of like a quirky, janky, like sense of humor, like lighthearted punk sound, you know?
Okay.
So like, I don't know. So if you hear, like, there's a lot of popular bands that get categorized as egg punk now. Like some of the biggest ones, I guess the biggest one is probably Snooper. They're from, Tennessee, I think. So I think of them. If you listen to it, you'll get it right away. It's like, it's a very distinct sound. And then Chain Punk is more like serious tough guy shit. Like it's
Okay.
like we're from the streets. Like if you come to our show, you're probably coming to like, you know, run into some people.
Gotcha.
I mean, I don't know. Chain Punk is more like mosh punk, and egg punk is more like let's dance and laugh and shit. You know.
Okay, I get it now. So egg punk soul, but you sound like chain punk. So it's like lighthearted, but we sound like we'll kill you.
Yeah. That would be the quote on our bio. Yes. But like the music sounds violent, but we're a bunch of fucking dorky clowns. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's pretty much us too. And every band that I loved that we toured with, that we became good friends of ours, because nobody took themselves too seriously, but you took your music seriously.
Right. And going back to our tour, it was the same way with Dead to Fall and From a Second Story Window for sure. Same combo too.
Yeah. Because you have to have a sense of humor, especially when you're bands like ours who are like, you're not making much money, you're barely surviving, things go wrong all the time, the vans break down, like, if you're taking everything too seriously, like you're just gonna have a miserable fucking time.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's how I feel. And yeah, absolutely. Whenever I meet a band where everyone's really serious, I'm like, wow, how do you guys do this? How do you maintain with so much seriousness, you know?
Yeah, and they probably fight a lot.
Sorry, say that again?
I said, yeah, and they probably get in a lot of fights. Like our bands, like pretty much no one ever got on each other's nerves enough to like have a serious like screaming fight or screaming match.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to only be in bands where that's the case. So
Yeah.
I can't remember many except for maybe like when Dead to Fall broke up. That might be the only one. Like the day we broke up. But we don't have to go into that story. I'm just saying that's just the only time where it was like, okay, that one counts.
Well, I did want to ask you about it because I did get into it with John, but not the specific day, but more like because we have a very similar ending and what we went through and what we were feeling, and we were kind of talking about the lyrics to "Stupid" and how it was just like things were kind of like, you know, feeling like you can't make it to the next level and you're not making any money and you're miserable. So I just wanted to get your perspective on like how the band ended and, you know, like how it went down before you moved.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to summarize. I mean, me and Logan definitely had a personal situation where we kind of like we're both involved with the same girl, and I think it kind of involved us. Or I mean, we kept our cool with each other, but it definitely caused us to both like spiral a little bit. At the time, you know, just made things very complicated and heated and. So there was a little bit of that. I mean, obviously we've gotten past that since then. You know, we're very close again now, and still talk a lot, and hang out and stuff. But that aside, you know, I think it was just, I don't know. I guess it was financial. Aside from that, you know what I mean? It was just like I know the band was in a pretty large amount of debt, and then once a couple members decided they were done, which was me and Logan, other people kind of decided that they were done too.
Yeah.
So I don't
Sometimes
know.
it just takes one domino and like everyone's like, okay, I've had enough too.
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't say much else about it at the moment, but that's kind of my summary of it for now, you know?
Okay. Gotcha. So leaving Dead to Fall, since you chose to leave, what did you kind of have a plan moving forward? Like, what were you feeling then?
Musically, you mean, right?
Or just in life in general? Like, but yeah, that too.
Not not exactly. I mean, coincidentally, I had met the girl who I would end up moving to LA with and pursuing a career in porn with, as we were recording Are You Serious? She was from Baltimore, so I met her while we were there for a month working on the album. And so then when the band broke up, I mean, it just seemed like the obvious cue was to then make our move and try to make it happen. So I was set up for that, and that's what we did, you know?
Yeah. So did you get a job after the band to like save up money to move, or like how long was it before you moved to LA?
There was about a year between. Um, it was not an easy year. Even back home, I had a hard time finding a job at the time. I did end up working like at a liquor store and like as a barista at like Caribou Coffee for a while. Um, but yeah, it wasn't an easy year. Also because she moved from Baltimore to Minnesota for that filler year with me, and she didn't have an easy time with work either. So kind of a weird year, but we made it work. And once we got to LA, shit went well for her very quickly. And she was kind enough to kind of support me while I found my bearings, while I got my foot in the door. Um, and that was that.
Yeah. We have almost the exact same story because we broke up the same year. I spent a year in Ohio going, what the fuck do I do? But I got to get out of here. I want to move to LA. I had I had no job in between the last few tours because I had like ran my way through every telemarketing place and like whoever would hire anybody, you know. And then I had a telemarketing job I finally found for that last year. Hated it, was miserable, but I knew there's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm moving to California. I'm going to figure something out, go out there and try new things, try acting, try writing, or, you know, just get into something. I still wanted to do something creative. I just wanted to take a break from music because I was like, I only want to play heavy music and that's not going to make me money. So I got to do something else. But yeah, it was just crazy. Yeah. I had 1 year off, then moved out there too at the same time, lived on my friend's couch for a few weeks till we got an apartment, and yeah.
Wow. And did your lady friend help you as well?
Oh no,
I mean, like,
we broke up before I moved, and then I met my current girlfriend in 2010. We've been together pretty much since then, minus a couple breaks that we took because we're stupid. But
okay, cool. Yeah, I actually was wondering if you'd been with the same woman the whole time since the From a Second Story Window days. I was like, damn.
No, I forget when we broke up exactly. Years. No, yeah. No, but I've been with Gladdy now since 2010, minus us breaking up a couple times. But yeah, she's been the best.
Wow.
Yeah.
Strong. That's wonderful. Congrats.
Thank you very much. But yeah, I wanted to talk about your book. Was Warship your first book? I thought I saw a few things you've been at least a co-author on too.
Well, Warship was my second novel. The first one I actually started when I was on tour with Dead to Fall. You know, when I joined the band, I was still kind of a stoner, and I got kind of sick of just like every night, like weed smoking circles, just getting stoned out of your mind, and just, you know, small talk in the green room for like hours. And I was like, okay, what else can I do with my time when I don't feel like getting blitzed off the bong or whatever? So I got my first laptop and I started writing my first novel, fucking sitting in the van or wherever I could find privacy in like '06 or something. And it took me like 8 years to finish, but it ended up being a weird, spooky. It's kind of like inspired by Goosebumps and like 80s horror movies, but then it's a little quirky, kind of a dark comedy, and like way more perverted than most of that shit too. But yeah, it ended up being called Popping Cherries.
Okay, that was that one. I made a list of all the ones I saw. All right, that's really cool. So 8 years, were you like going through multiple versions or?
Well, I just took long breaks before I finished writing the first draft. So it's like I'd write little pieces at a time and then kind of come back to it and be like, okay, what do I want to do with this? Because, you know, when it's your first novel, you're kind of figuring it out as you go too. You're like, how do I make a full novel's worth of a structured story here? And I mean, you know, obviously it's still not I don't know. I have friends who are writers who have read it and admittedly are like, oh no, I don't like it, you know. And it's like, and I don't blame them because it's like it's really the structure isn't, you know, it's not super mature, it's not super locked in. It's very much like, I mean, it's based off of a 13-year-old boy's brain. So I tried to keep it in that realm of just like free form, immature thoughts, and also just like weird, childish nightmares and adventures, you know. So
That's
it's really
awesome.
all over the place. I admit that, you know. Yeah. And I do just want to say, I don't push that book as much now because it's also about a perverted 13-year-old boy. So he's kind of fantasizing about girls he goes to school with, and it can be a little strange to read now because it's teenage girls, and he's like a boy having perverted thoughts. So it's like, I'm 40 now. It's a little strange. But I will say that the title "Poppin' Cherries," it's not actually about, like, nobody actually has sex in the book. It's also a story about Ritalin, about the abuse of Ritalin in the 90s. And so the protagonist gets put on medication that happens to look like cherry Pez, and it really fucks with him. And that's why it's called Popping Cherries.
Okay, that's cool. I was gonna say I appreciate like the thought of keeping it like free form and like kind of like what would be going on in the brain of a teenage boy. So people who read it expecting like your standard structure would be like, nah. But like that's cool. I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
So that was your first one. Was Warship your second book?
Yeah, I mean, I've only done two proper novels. Warship was the second novel. You know, that one came out a lot easier because I had completed a novel at that point, so I knew how the process went. So that one took about 2 years to complete, rather than 8, which is nice. That came out in late 2017, and then recently I felt inspired about 4 years ago to make an audiobook adaptation of it. So I actually spent 3 years doing a fully DIY audiobook adaptation of it as well. And that just came out at the end of last year. It's on like Audible and Amazon and stuff like that.
Sick. I saw it was narrated by you, and I was like, that's really fucking cool. And then my next question was, did you go to a studio or was that DIY? And how was that process? Was it a pain in the dick?
Yeah. I mean, I listened to some other audiobooks before I made the decision, and you know, like really big, really successful books. And I was like, okay, this literally just sounds like someone at home fucking reading into a decent microphone with no bells and whistles. It's like, if they can do this, I can fucking do it at home. So I absolutely just did it at home with this microphone right here, Shure SM7B. You know, did everything I could for like mixing and mastering wise to try to just get a nice sound. But I added a lot more to it than I feel like most audiobooks do. I brought in like 10 different people to voice different characters. I did an original music score for it. I did a lot of sound effects and Foley. So it's a pretty immersive, there's a lot to it for an audiobook. So I think that's part of why it took so long. But the biggest pain in the ass is definitely recording the narration for the entire book. So like I wouldn't ever want to do it again. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Dude, that's amazing. You did like multiple characters, score, Foley, like, and all that was done in your place too?
All of it. Everything.
That's sick. And so I guess sidestepping, when did you learn how to score and do things like that? Like just fucking around in Logic and shit, or?
Well, it's easier for an audiobook because, you know, when you're scoring a film or a TV show, it has to sync with the picture perfectly, pretty much. With this audiobook score, I kind of just needed songs that matched certain vibes in certain scenes, but it doesn't have to necessarily hit on certain points. You can just line it up when you're editing it later. But I mean, you could say I've already had training because I scored an actual feature film that came out in 2022 called Dark Cloud, which is kind of an interesting sort of a sci-fi sort of tech thriller about AI, of course, kind of becoming evil. And and yeah, so that was quite a lot more challenging, you know, to make all these cues that have to go directly with the moving picture. They have to line up, you know what I mean? And I will say a funny thing about that is I didn't even know when I made the score that Logic actually has a feature where you can pull video up so that you can work to it. I didn't even know that when I made this whole score. So what I did was I documented time code for the scenes, and then I constructed compositions just based on time code. So it was like, okay, this has to build up to the 14-second mark, and then this has to happen here. And I did it that way. And then I would drop it into the movie, and I'd be like, okay, does it sync or not? And then I would go back and make edits.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't know it did that either. That's a really cool feature.
Apparently it does.
So you like doubled your work on accident, probably.
I think so. But the nice thing is I got the gig 1 month into COVID lockdown. So I had nothing else to do. It was perfect timing.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Fuck. Well, yeah, I would say that's a good experience to score your own book then.
Absolutely. That one was easy, chill, fun, fulfilling, you know.
Sorry.
And you can listen to. Oh, that's okay. I opened the door hoping my cats would come in so I could show them off, but they haven't shown face yet. So, but yeah, I'll say you can listen to both those scores on streaming or on Bandcamp if you'd like. Warship or Dark Cloud. They're just out under my full name, Chad Fjerstad. So,
fuck yeah. So going back into the content for Warship, you told me the first half was based on your time in Dead to Fall, and then the second half was about your time moving to LA, right? If you want to dig into some of that.
Yeah. Overall, in summary, yes, it's kind of like the first half is based on my Dead to Fall time, and the second half is based on my experiences kind of getting into the porn industry, how I got into it, and how it sort of reshaped my brain or kind of forced me to grow up in a multitude of ways through many different elements and experiences. I won't really dive into that, but that's the summary. I mean, it mostly has to do with going from feeling like a big fish in a little pond, basically feeling like a rock star in Dead to Fall and being a fuckboy, and then moving into porn and kind of having the opposite experience, actually. Kind of feeling like, wow, like, nobody really gives a fuck now.
Yeah.
And then kind of realizing like, okay, like, this is going to be work. It's going to be a job, and I'm going to have to work for it if I want this to be a career and to be this, to make this fulfilling and fruitful. So it did. It took a lot of work, time, and mental hurdles, but eventually it became what I wanted it to be, a very, very fulfilling, rewarding thing.
Right.
So, yeah, that's not really the direction the book goes, though. The book is more about like the parts that were rough, and then I mean it is a fictional tale, so there's parts of reality, but it goes its own direction. I'll say that.
Right. Yeah, I was dark. I was reading the description, and after you told me like the first half, second half, and I was like, okay, I'm like relating as moving to LA, and like the one part that said, as his world crumbles, he migrates to a cultish island to pursue a career in pornography in hopes of reinvigorating a willfully neglectful existence. And I was like, I completely fucking relate to that.
Yeah, you kind of felt like maybe that's what you were seeking for when you first made the move.
Yeah, the cultish island made me laugh knowing that it was like representing LA.
Yeah. That was one of the sort of, I just wanted to take it a little further in, kind of representing, because like the porn industry kind of exists as like a weird cult within LA, but it's like, I know people who grew up in the valley where most of porn is, and they're like, they've been here for 30 years and they've never even met a porn performer. It's like, it's all around you at all times, and whatever the saying is, you just don't even know it, you know, in LA. So I was like, why not like make it a weird island or something, make it more interesting, you know?
Right. That's cool. Yeah, John was saying like the ego thing, like when he left the band and like moved to Florida and was doing construction, and you're completely starting over. No one knows who the fuck you are. And you go from like feeling like you're on top, or, you know, as on top as that we could have been in our bands, to then being like, oh, I'm just a dude doing construction who's drunk at a bar and no one cares or knows who I am. And like all of us had that same experience of going
Yeah.
just like, what the fuck do we do now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I guess it seems like it is a rough experience for most people who are, I mean, especially when you're that age, you're in your early 20s, so it's like you're like, for me, instead of going to college, I toured in Dead to Fall. And I don't regret it at all. It was like it was the most fun, purely fun time of my life. But that has to come to an end. And when it does, it's got to be a rude awakening for most of us on that trajectory. I mean, I know it was for me, so
Yeah, and if you at some point in there before you like before reality hit, you had this dream of it being way more, you know, than it was, and that like you quitting, you might have left something on the table, or you wish it would have gone different. So I think like going back to what I said about moving to LA, I was kind of distancing myself from it and being like, I just got to hang out with new types of people and try new things. And I think I was really just bitter kind of and missed it. And then, like we said, I within a couple of years, I was back in a pop punk band in LA.
that's pretty cool. How long did that last? The pop punk band?
Oh, that was like 3 years maybe. We were called What Say You, based off the line from Lord of the Rings,
Cool.
and it was kind of like
Ah,
heavy pop punk, like kind of like A Day to Remember, maybe not quite as heavy.
cool. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we did one music video, played a few shows around town, and then ended up breaking up just because, you know, typical band shit.
Oh, you guys didn't play that many shows? Just a
No, I
few?
think maybe like 5 or 6. Chain Reaction, a couple places
Damn,
around
okay.
LA. Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, I guess, once you're of a certain age and doing other things, it's like I mean, a lot of my bands like Ass Life, for example, now it's kind of in that realm because it's kind of like punk hardcore, and it's like we played one show this year so far and two last year. It's like, if you're not in the fucking touring circuit and you're adults, it's a totally different game, you know what I mean? Shows
Yeah.
are few and far between.
Yeah, there's just no reason to grind it like you used to if you're not trying to like, you know, get a career out of something, especially like, you know, that kind of music.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I hate to say it, but the music industry itself is just looking rougher and rougher and rougher every single year, like exponentially. It's like I know so many touring artists who have been doing this for a long time, and they're perceived as big bands, and they're just all making statements like, I don't know if this is going to work for much longer, you know what I mean? Because of the numbers, and like expenses keep going up, and like the middlemen keep taking more and more money, and it's just, what the fuck, man? It's a bummer. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, then at the same time, it's also like you can be your own label now. You don't need a label other than if you know, want the recognition, I guess some press from it, but you can completely do everything yourself. And then even then is difficult because you can't make any money from your music. So you have to rely on merch and touring, and, you know, gas prices are higher than they were back in the day. Like everything's just really fucking tough. But I guess younger kids are looking at it differently. They just want to be TikTok musicians. So I don't know. I don't know how many of them have dreams of getting in a van and hitting
Oh
the
yeah.
road like we did.
Right, but I mean, that makes sense because that's just not how you do it anymore. I mean, it seems like most labels are only interested in signing people that are already TikTok stars or already had something go viral, and that's the only reason they're getting signed, is so that those two can then make money together. So then it's like, what is touring now? It's kind of a niche thing with a punk spirit for people. I feel like, I don't know. It's like, if it means something to you as an individual, then it's like, it's almost like we do it for personal fulfillment. It's like I've done a couple tours in the last few years, and I was just happy to be. I mean, of course, they weren't profitable at all. I'm just happy to be doing it. Every time I get the chance, it's just like, wow, like, it's just great that this is happening, because I'll always want to do it, from time to time. So
Yeah. I thought I would always hate it again, based on like my memories of like just always being sore and never, you know, having a place to sleep or begging people to stay at their houses or whatever. But I think I look back at all the shit we went through, and like it was kind of a charming experience. And then we haven't done a tour since being back or anything, but we done like weekend warrior stuff, and we went out to like Boston and Brooklyn last year. And at the end of day 2, I was ready to keep going, and I surprised myself. I thought I was going to be excited to come home, and then I woke up like that Tuesday after being back, and I was like literally seriously bummed that there wasn't more. And I was like, shit. And there's no, financial incentive for that. It's just having fun and being out with the guys and traveling. And I didn't mind the long drives or anything. I just surprised myself. I didn't expect that.
Yeah. I mean, I think especially if you have the right group of people, then it's just kind of like a nice little escape from the routine. It just feels good, right? But yeah, it's nice to hear that it ended and you wanted more too. I love hearing that.
Yeah, this whole experience has kind of reinvigorated me to create music and not take such a long break from it again. So, who were you touring with? I know, didn't you do the Primals too with John Henry from Darkest Hour?
I did do the Primals, and right when stuff was kind of starting to pick up, the lockdown hit, and I mean, I don't blame. I obviously don't blame the guys, but like John, for example, he fell in love with a gal in Europe, and then when the lockdown hit, he was like, "Well, I want to move to Europe and be with her." Like, of course. So like that's what happened, and they're still together, and I'm very very happy for him.
Yeah.
So like the Primals was a sick little project for the. I think we were doing it for about 4 years, 5 years. Put out one record on Southern Lord, which is a really cool little record. We recorded it was produced by John Reese from these he's kind of a San Diego legend. He was kind of like the main man in bands like Rocket from the Crypt, Hot Snakes, and Drive Like Jehu. And yeah, we only got to do 2 tours. We did one headline in Europe, and then the one U.S. tour we landed was with one of my favorite bands of all time. It was with Cave-In. So that just felt like fateful to me. It was like, wow, like when I joined this band, some of the songs were reminding me of like Cave-In's rock shit. And then that was the one tour we got offered. It was very magical, very fulfilling. So
What other tours have you done? Have any of these other bands gone out on the road or?
okay, so I was playing in a band called VR Sex for about 2.5 years, and we were touring pretty regularly. We were doing about 2 to 3 tours a year. That was it's kind of perceived as a side project of Andrew Klinko. His biggest band is this band called Drab Majesty. It's like a big sort of post-punk, dark pop, sort of like goth band. And VR Sex was a little more like experimental punk, like noise punk. It was pretty cool, pretty weird, really really loud band. That was the most interesting thing for me, is even after playing in metalcore bands growing up, I have never played in a band as loud as VR Sex. It's like in the rehearsal space, even with earplugs in, I was like feeling like my hearing was getting damaged. It was
Fun.
wild. But yeah, that was a wild 2.5 years. But that band's broken up now too. And then the last couple years, I've been touring with my own sort of dark. It's kind of a synth pop project. It's like dark synth pop. It's just a duo. I write all the songs, and I'm the front person in that. And it's called More Ephemerol. And so that's kind of the one that's had the most traction, I guess you'd say, lately.
Nice. Have you put out a record recently, or is there anything new dropping soon?
By like musically in general, or by More Ephemeral?
More Ephemeral, yeah.
Yeah. So our last record was in 2023. It was like a proper full length. Put a lot into that. Was working on that for like 4 years actually. But this summer, I'm just trying to do a couple new music videos. I'm kind of just going to do singles from here on out, because it's still very much a DIY project. I don't have like any label support or anything. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of hit it one single at a time from here. But playing like a festival in Canada this summer.
Nice.
In Edmonton, strangely enough. Really random place to land our first festival bill, but other than LA. But yeah, I mean, I think, the ball's going to keep rolling at least,
Right. And what about Kimono? That's like your prog rock project?
Yeah, other than More Ephemerol, Kimono is the other one that like has some pretty cool energy behind it right now. And it's also something that I do with ex Dead to Fall, or actually current Dead to Fall drummer, Tim Jabba, who I used to play with. He's the drummer in Kimono as well. He was into prog before any of us. I mean, he came too as a drummer playing to like Rush and like Dream Theater, like Neil Peart and stuff. So when it came time to start a prog band, we knew Tim was the man. It's something I started with an old friend of mine, Jeff Carlson, who has always been a one of my favorite people and just one of my main artistic collaborators. We used to just make goofy, fucked up short films together, but when it came time to make music together, you know, sure enough, it became a fucking magical thing. So we have 2 LPs out. The last one actually came out on a Norwegian label called Apollon Records. That album's called Mind Out of Mind, and the album reviews for it have been pretty incredible, and that's one of the things that keeps us going, I think, is we can tell there are so many prog fans and people out there who really understand what we were trying to do and see the same sort of value in it that we do. So, and we're working on our 3rd album right now.
Sick. What's your, I've never played anything prog like, or much rock, honestly. What was that like coming out of what you played before? Do you have like a big hand in the songwriting?
If you're talking about sort of like technicality wise, it's like, I do kind of enjoy the element of prog where it's like, you can still kind of like flex your chops a little bit. So like I feel like the skills that I gained from playing metal, I can still throw in on certain parts in these prog songs, you know? We really kind of get to ripping in some sections, you know what I mean? But it doesn't have to all be that, you know? It's like my favorite thing about prog is you can literally do whatever you want with it. Right. So I mean there's songs I've written that are more simple, like soft almost like pop rock songs where it's like okay, I want to write something that I feel like my parents would have slow danced to in like 1981, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or then sometimes I just write something that I want to fucking just rip to and like go crazy, like let's write a Bohemian Rhapsody, you know, like something like that. So.
Yeah, I was never much into prog, but I appreciate when you know when to like do something for the listener and then, you know, then get chaotic and technical and like, you know, doing it tastefully. What was I just watching? You know, Rick Beato, his YouTube channel.
Who's that?
He's an older dude. He's been around forever. I can't think of his bands, but like he's like interviewed like everybody. He's got a studio. I think that he mainly recorded nu metal bands back in the day, which was awesome. But he's got this series where he does what makes this song great. And he'll break down a song and he somehow gets the individual stems. So he'll go, let's listen to what the drums are doing. Let's listen to what the bass is doing. And so I got addicted to it. He's got this series of like hundreds of them. But he just had on Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains, and he was talking about Them Bones and how it goes 7/4 in the beginning, and then when you hit the chorus, it goes 4/4. It's like a nice release, and it just feels great. And it's like that's the kind of stuff I appreciate when you're doing weird time signatures and shit.
About prog?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fun shit, definitely. I like playing with those 2 time signatures, especially because it's like, I don't know how it is for everyone, but like for me and Jeff and Kimono, it's like we just write by ear and by feeling, and then we sort of analyze the time signatures when the song's done.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun to kind of see those things come out organically, you could say, like based off of feeling, and then later be like, oh, whoa, look at the change here. Like when something like that happens, you know, it's fun, like being interwoven with mathematics like that, like without having to think about it too much, you know?
Yeah, I like music and creating music that way just better. I feel like it's more organic and more real to like, I just felt that I didn't sit here with some music theory idea and like, let's make a part that counts like this. And then like, that's more scientific. Like if you feel it and you later, you're like, what's that count on that? Like, that's way cooler to me. It's like, who cares what the actual count is? Is it good?
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, how the fuck does Meshuggah write their songs, you know?
Right. And I've never been a huge fan of them, but every time I hear them, it's like it's incredible.
Have you ever seen them live?
No, just videos online. I just saw that meme that was like it was like Meshuggah. There's like lighting tech. How many lights do you want on stage? And it's just like Meshuggah. Yes, their fucking lights are just insane. Like never seen that many lights on a stage.
Yeah, they're yeah. I just saw them about a month ago with Cannibal Corpse and Carcass, and I just thought that was like one of the best metal bills ever. But yeah, the lasers were. I mean, they were powerful enough to. They were playing a fucking arena, which even that I was like, Meshuggah in an arena. I can't believe it's come this far, but it makes me really fucking happy to see.
Yeah,
So yeah, the lights were epic, and the show was perfect. Man, it was incredible.
it is cool like to see metal like that extreme at the levels, you know, like Lorna Shore. Like to me, it's like they have no business being as big as they are with that sound, and they're fucking amazing. Like they're great. But like I think I was saying that with John too when he was on. It was like it felt like we were a little bit early, like playing the heavy music because it seemed like 5 years later, like Warp Tour got really heavy. And like all these bands were blowing up, and it's like, God damn it! It's like if we were just like a little bit younger, a few more records, whatever. But it's good to see, no matter what.
Of course, all of us dead to Fall Guys think about this a lot. We're like, you know, if we would have kept on going like two more albums, who knows what would have happened. But it does seem statistically like it seems to be like we would have been set up to like get bigger, like based on what happened to all the bands in that realm that kept going.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I wish I could at least just view an alternative timeline and see what happened.
yeah,
But it's funny because we had one more album that was like on the surface would have been perceived as kind of a joke, and then I don't know. Maybe we would have reverted to like being totally serious again after that.
yeah,
But we were talking about making an album. We were talking about making an album that was literally just called Breakdowns next. Where like every riff would be a breakdown. But I mean, I do think that Logan is a brilliant songwriter, and he's a big enough Meshuggah fan where like I do think it actually would have been an interesting, brilliant album, even though it seems like a joke with that name and concept. But that could have been the next Dead to Fall album.
I bet you guys could have pulled it off for sure. I would have been interested to hear what that sound like.
It would have been fun.
Yeah, but like, and I always think like, you know, I am thankful things ended when they did because then I did get to move and have all these new experiences and meet new people and obviously meet my girlfriend who I've been with forever, play different styles of music, try acting, try this and that. So like, I mean, you've done so much since then, so I'm sure you wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, of course, I do not fantasize, but like, you know, if I could go back in time and like not try to keep the band together on an alternative timeline.
Yeah, just to see.
I would just to see. Oh, what would happen? You know, but I don't regret anything. No, of course not. It's like I'm, you know, very very happy with where I'm at and what's happened and yeah, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, so you've done prog, you've done punk, you're doing synth pop. Is there another genre that like you haven't touched yet that you're itching to try something in?
I gotta stop pretty soon. There's only one more. I have one more project that at some point I'm gonna make a full album for. I think that's gonna be the end of the line.
Yeah.
I don't really want to like after I do that record. I don't want to do any more projects or more genres. Like I've covered enough bases. But that one would be more like just like an experimental pop album, but not pop like fucking Katy Perry, like pop like, you know, what pop meant in the 60s and 70s, you know? It's like
Right.
it's basically like now more people would perceive it as like an indie record, but
Right.
it's experimental pop to me, you know?
Yeah. Pop has a lot of different meanings to different people. But I would always like to try something in pop. I don't know what it would be, but just to see like what would come out if I did attempt it. Because I've only really played heavy music and kind of like a heavy southern rock project, and even the pop punk band was kind of heavy. So I've been kind of stuck in a sort of a lane the whole time. So I'd like to just drastically veer off once just to see what would happen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you got the time and you got the fire under your ass, that's all you really need. But it's just those two things, and time is a tough thing too. It's like I feel like that's the main challenger in all situations. I always feel like the clock is ticking against me, but I'm always fighting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think part of getting older too, like I felt like in my 30s, like, oh my God, it's like almost over. 40's coming. I got to do all the things I want to do. But now I turned 40 this year, and now I feel like I have more
Me
time
too.
than ever. Oh, well, cheers to 40.
Yeah. Cheers. When was your birthday?
January 31st. When's yours?
Oh, wow. We're only 2 weeks apart, but different signs though. I'm a
Oh yeah.
Capricorn, you're an Aquarius.
Yeah, what does that mean? What it like personality wise?
I don't. The only Aquariuses I know are mostly women, so I usually get along with them. But to me they're a pretty icy sign. Like they can come off as mean, even though they're not mean most of the time.
Yeah.
But that's all I really know. I don't know. And then Capricorns are just whatever, like down to earth, but also like really stubborn. They're like, oh well, my way is the only way. Sorry.
Yeah. My girlfriend's super into it. She'll be mad that I didn't know that. So if you're listening, I'm sorry. So for people listening, if there's an awkward cut there, we had some technical difficulties, but we are back, and I promise we aren't awkward and just leaving big long gaps between our between our responses to each other.
That's right.
So I've been doing this with some guests where I have a list of rapid fire questions before we go. Just have some fun. First one: what's a band you love but would never wear the T-shirt?
Pantera.
Good answer. Have you ever caught feelings for another adult film star on set?
Yeah, but way more in the first half of my career.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
can see
when,
that.
when you're younger and you're greener, it's like you kind of let, I don't know, maybe you don't have the thick skin yet, or the experience, and it
Yeah,
happens. But I don't know, I got to a point where I'm like, all right, I'm a professional now. You know what I mean? I don't let that happen.
yeah, yeah. Now, 16 years later, you're a true fucking pro. What's a conspiracy theory that you wish was true?
Hmm. Shit, man.
I was trying to think of my own answer. I was like, this one might be tough.
I mean, I don't know if this is really the most fitting answer, but my favorite story in general is that one about Dr. John C. Lilly, where he was I can't, you know who that is, and his connection with Echo the dolphin.
No, I don't.
I'll try to summarize as fast as I can. Basically, there's a dolphin who is being kept in this specific area with a bunch of scientists, and one of the female scientists fell in love with the dolphin, and people believe that they were both in love with each other, like deeply in love with each other. Some even believe that they had sexual relations. But John C. Lilly, who is a famous scientist, at some point had to take that dolphin and bring it to a different territory for further experiments. But the dolphin had its heart broken and committed suicide. Dolphins are one of the only animals that are capable of that because they're intelligent enough, so it drowned itself,
Holy
supposedly
shit.
from heartbreak. So then Dr. C. Lilly kind of went mad with guilt after that, and soon after that, fell into sort of an obsession with taking specific drugs and getting into sensory deprivation tanks and getting deeper into his mind in sort of a therapeutic sense. But he began to believe that he was communicating with aliens, and the aliens told him that they were speaking to him from a place called I believe it's the Earth Confidence Control Office, which is Echo. And that's actually what the video game Echo the Dolphin is named after and inspired by. Yeah. And also one of my two favorite films of all time is inspired by this story. It's called Altered States from 1980. And it's also about a scientist kind of going mad and being obsessed with doing drugs in sensory deprivation tanks.
Holy shit.
So I guess I wouldn't necessarily say I hope that that's true.
Right.
But I guess it's the closest thing to a conspiracy theory that I feel is very profound.
Right.
And
No, that is a crazy fucking story. Have you ever done a sensory deprivation tank?
Only once. I tried this one in Beverly Hills, not under the influence of drugs. I just wanted to try it out, and I think I personally have too deep of an iPhone addiction. So, like, I can't even read a book anymore unless I have no service on my phone, if that makes sense. So the only place I read books is on airplanes. But in the sensory deprivation tank, I just kind of got... My brain couldn't go deep enough or far enough. It was about 15 minutes in, I just got kind of bored and was like, okay, nothing's going to happen. And that was it, you know?
I did it once, too. No drugs. I was in Santa Monica at one of those places, and... Same thing kind of happened to me, but I got cold in the water. I was like uncomfortable. And then after about 20 minutes, I was like, okay, I'm getting out of here. I didn't enjoy it. It was weird.
That seems like they're bad too. Cause I think those experiences, the water's supposed to kind of maintain like a room temperature, or like, so you feel like you're not even in water, like floating, like a comfortable warm, you know?
Yeah. It was just like, I don't know. I didn't enjoy it. And I was like, okay, I've had enough. Maybe this would be better on DMT or something, but
probably. Yeah, I think so.
All right, next one. Best Taco Bell menu item.
Oh man, I love Taco Bell, but the prices are really tragic these days, man.
They are.
Someone was showing me a receipt from like, I don't know, 99 or the early 2000s, where it was like 6 items and it was like $7. It was like, oh god, I missed that. I don't know. I would probably just pick a beef chalupa, a beef supreme chalupa, just load it up with fire sauce.
All right, dream artist to collab with, if it could be anybody.
Oh fuck. Give me a second. That's really tough.
No rush.
Tough. I guess I'm gonna go with the Swedish synth pop artists. You ever heard of The Knife or Fever Ray?
Maybe Fever Ray.
Okay, that's more like her solo thing. But before that, her and her brother had a project called The Knife. But her name is Karen Dreyer Anderson, and I think her as a vocalist and a songwriter, specifically coming off of the albums she made in 2006 and 2009. Those just had such a massive impact on me that she's always been one of my favorites. So I would choose her, I think.
Nice.
I should add, I do think she might go by they now. So I apologize, Karen, if you see this. I'm sorry.
Worst tattoo that you have, buddy.
I love how vocal your cat is, by the way. I love a good vocal kitty. Worst tattoo. I gotta take a look real quick. The funny thing is, I don't dislike any of my tattoos. I think some of them, it's kind of interesting because now they've become such mainstream iconography that like they feel a little cheesier because of that. Like I have like a nurse from Silent Hill, which I got way before that was popular. Like,
oh, that's cool.
So
though, yeah.
popular. And then I have Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII, which I mean, it was already kind of popular back then, but it's like you see it a lot more now.
Yeah.
But I guess if I had to pick a number one, so I still really like this whole piece on this arm. But when I explain the meaning of it to you from my 18-year-old brain, that's what would make it the worst.
Yeah.
Because it's like we got a heart up here that's kind of representing my heart, and then the veins and tendons are coming down, and these two ladies here are sort of wrapped up, in the veins and the tendons, and they're kind of like struggling, having a little struggle. But to me, in my 18-year-old fucking boy brain, I was like, the overall message was just like, don't fuck with my heart, ladies.
That's good. I know a lot of us ended up with some really bad tour tattoos over the years, so I always like to see what people might have in their collection.
I actually only have one real tour tat, but I still really love it. It's a shitty scratch tattoo from like Berlin. Us and the Primals, we all got it. But it's this. Let's see if you can see this here, right here. That's Johnny the horny fuck pig right there. So we were in Italy and staying on this farm, and we went out to see the farm animals in the morning. And this one pig, he had his own pig pen. And as soon as we walked up, he got up on his hind legs and just started fucking the side of the fence like the whole time we were out there. And we felt like he was like putting on a show for us, and his name was actually Johnny. So then when we were like tour tats, what should we get? And we all got Johnny the horny pig.
That's great.
Yeah.
I have one I got with our drummer Nick. I don't think I've ever showed it on here. I don't know if you can see it. Hold on. I can't see it.
Inner thigh.
It's right here. This is so hard. It's a beer mug and a cigarette done by Fox from See You Next Tuesday, and it says "Who gives a shit."
Very cool. I can't see it because it's a little blurry, but it'll be there for the viewers and when I rewatch.
Yeah, I'll put a screenshot up over top of both of them. I'll zoom in on yours because it was hard to see too.
Please do, my dog.
All right, least favorite Dead to Fall song.
Least favorite, from the full discography.
Yeah.
Oh well, let me pull up the track list. I mean, it's got to be something from the first album. Sorry, guys. If I had to pick, probably either Cost of a Good Impression or Preying on the Helpless. They're like two of the songs towards the end of the first album. I mean, I don't strongly dislike any Dead to Fall song. It's just like if I have to pick one that's the least best, then I have to pick one, And I feel connected to all the songs we wrote, so those get first dibs, obviously,
Right. Yeah. I always like to hear the least because what's your favorite one is a boring question. So it's like get a good story out of that sometimes.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I know a lot of people end up hating a song that they wrote or something, so I'm sure you get a lot of stories like that, and it's probably pretty fun to hear that from people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have any stories like that out of the two Dead to Fall albums, so I like all the songs. So.
If you were a Seinfeld character, which one would you be?
Elaine.
Yeah. I always liked Elaine.
She I mean, she's also at one point, when I first finally, so when I was growing up, I hated Seinfeld. It was my least favorite show. It just rubbed me wrong. I didn't get it at all. That and AC/DC, I was like, these are the worst fucking things ever. Now I love them both. But when I finally took the plunge and really watched Seinfeld all the way through as an adult, it's probably I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, and I just instantly fell deeply in love with Elaine. I was like she's such a dream woman. But but then also, you know, when you stop and you think about all the characters, about who you would relate to, it's like the other characters are all fucking extreme. They're like well, especially George and Kramer. They're like cartoon characters. They're archetypes, and they're terrible. They're terrible. They're obnoxious. You know, like
Yeah.
I can't be them. And then Jerry is just fucking boring.
Yeah.
Elaine is like the middle ground. It's like she's funny, she's still kind of normal, she's balanced. So it's like I don't care if she's the woman, like I relate most to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She is kind of grounded compared to the rest of them. And yeah, she's like, Jerry has his moments, but like, she's definitely funnier.
Yeah. And let me throw in, because my girlfriend would probably appreciate it. We've been together about 3.5 years now, but when I first met her, the first time we hung out, and she started just like smiling and laughing and joking in front of me, I was just like, oh my God, Elaine vibes. like she just like she had the Elaine energy, and I told her right away, and she knows that I feel that way, and she's a big Seinfeld fan too, so it's fun. It works out.
That's perfect. I haven't seen it in a while. Now I want to go watch it after this.
Yeah, I remember specifically, like, since I was watching it in order too, it was like season like 2 through 4, like you know, I hadn't really seen that much of that, but seeing her and then I was like, whoa.
Yeah, and back to what you said about not liking it at first. My mom loved it, so being a kid, I was like, I don't want to like it because she likes it. And then I watched it when I was adult, and instantly I was like, this is one of the best shows fucking ever. I love it.
Totally. And I think Curb Your Enthusiasm was definitely the bridge for me because I got into that first, and then once I understood Larry David, then I was like, okay, now it's gonna make sense. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I've never made it past like season 3 in that. I need to finish that too. But there's just so many goddamn shows.
True. True.
All right. If you started a cult, what would be the initiation ritual?
Wow. Uh, that's a cool question. That's a good question. Um, Honestly, with me, it would probably just be like, you have to star in one of my short films. Like, I'm gonna make a weird short film and you have to play a character in it, and I'm writing the character and you have to do it. And that's it. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't say more because I would base the character off of each person, like my first impression of them. So I can't really elaborate beyond that, but that's my answer.
There you go. All right,
Yeah.
and last one. So what I'm doing with everybody is I started an official Riff Taco Spotify playlist, and I'm asking every guest to contribute one song to it, whatever you want, any genre, if it means something to you, or if it's funny, if it's cool, whatever. But one song.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, very cool. Okay. Do I have to pick it right now?
You can tell me later if you want, but if you have one in mind, either way.
I think the coolest thing to put on there would be a Kimono song, because it's like, you know, it's got Tim and me. It's like it's got the Deadfall members, but it's like I think it's a cool middle ground because it's like metal fans will appreciate it, but so will other people. So yeah, let's do the title track from the last Kimono album. It's called Mind Out of Mind.
Mind Out of Mind. Perfect.
Yeah. It's probably, and I mean that record and that song is like probably one of the, you know, something I'm most proud of. I honestly just did vocals on that one. I just wrote the lyrics and do lead vocals, but it's just such a phenomenal song. So
Sick. All right. Well, that will be added
Here's
after we get off here.
say hi to Sumo. Hey,
Sumo. What's up, buddy?
baby.
How old is he?
It's actually a girl, and she's still a kitty. She's 7 to 8 months old.
Nice. Yeah, my two grandpas turned 14 this year. I've had him since 2010 in LA. Crazy.
Oh hell yeah! Wait, how old?
14.
Oh, getting up there, senior babies.
Yep. They still act like they're kittens though.
That's nice.
Well, before we get going, is there anything else you want to let people know about? Anything you got coming up? Plans? What to check out?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we talked about all my projects. So, you know, if you guys watch and you're curious and whatever, you caught wind of it in there. We talked about it all. So I guess, I don't know, if you resonated with the interview, I don't know, follow me on Instagram, Fjerstad.
Great handle, by the way. I love that handle.
Thank you. It's just because that's what my last name sounds like when you pronounce it. That's it.
Oh, right. Remember what I asked you to pronounce it? I should have noticed that. Fjerstad.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Do you have a TikTok or anything else?
I do, but I don't really use it much or value it. Instagram is definitely the main thing. And then I also have a small record label on Bandcamp, so that would be important to follow too. It's hard to spell because the first word is misspelled, but it's ephemeralnightterrors.bandcamp.com.
All right, I'll put that in the show notes too, so people don't have to spell it out. Ephemeral.
Put a little
Night Terrors.
caption up or something. Yeah, and ephemeral is spelled with an OL at the end rather than an AL, like the dictionary word. So that makes it extra complicated because it's already a word that people are like, what the fuck is this? So.
And that's on Bandcamp. Okay, sick.
Yes.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for doing this, man. It's been great to catch up with you. I haven't seen you in probably, I don't even know how long now.
Probably since that time we ran into each other in LA. So I don't know. That was probably like 2011 or 2012 or something.
Yeah, crazy. Time fucking flies. And now we're both 40. Crazy.
Yeah, well, I had a blast talking to you too, man. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, dude. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you're enjoying the podcast, reminder to please hit subscribe on YouTube. If you're on Spotify and Apple, please follow, leave a rating, all that good shit. It'll help me out in continuing to bring on cool guests. So thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.
Ciao.